Okay, guys, I think that's a lot of you now. So once again, thank you all for joining today's webinar. I'm Kirsten Savage, I'm Ekco's Marketing Manager, and on the call with me today is Adam Bromley, who's our Managing Director in the UK. We also have Barrie Greening, who's our Sales Manager in the UK. And joining the Ekco team from our partner, HiveIO, is Andy Mitchell. So HiveIO is actually one of Ekco's partners in desktop virtualization, and we thought it'd be good to hear directly from them. Quick run through of our agenda. Barrie will set the scene with an overview of Ekco DaaS offering. He'll then pass you over to Andy, who'll run through the HiveIO solution. And then you'll be hearing from me again with some of your questions that you've popped into the chat. So without further ado, I'll now pass you over to Barrie.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for attending this morning's webinar launching our latest addition to our Desktop as a Service offering. I'm going to give you a brief introduction before I hand over to Andy, who will talk in more technical detail about the service and what the features of this new offering will ultimately mean for you and our partners. If you've got any questions throughout this webinar, if you can just use the chat function. It's a private chat function, so no one else will be able to see the questions you're asking other than the facilitators. We've scheduled this webinar to last 45 minutes. I suspect we'll be well within that time. And towards the end of the session, we'll answer all your questions. So, as I say, if you've got any questions, just use the chat function. After the webinar has finished, we will send you a recording of it, so you've got all the information. We'll also send the details of who to contact both in the UK and Ireland. So should you have any further questions or indeed have any particular customers you want to discuss in detail, then we can pick that up at a later date. The one thing we're not going to cover today in any detail on this call is price. There are so many variables to consider. So we decided not to go into any great detail on price, but if you wish to discuss pricing because you've got a particular opportunity, then again, if you can contact us after the webinar, then we can pick that up separately. So the purpose of today's webinar is to talk you through our partnership with HiveIO, which is a partnership we've entered into in order to provide our resellers and our partners with a cost-effective and high-performing desktop service, which really the important piece is that it has the ability to help you create new recurring and long-term revenue streams without the need for significant investment on your part. So that's a key criteria in this, I think. I'm sure everyone is aware that there's been a huge growth in desktop as a service since the COVID-induced rush to remote working back in March. Just to give you an idea of the size of this shift, I read an article in Computer Weekly recently about a report from Gartner that forecast a 95% growth in 2020 for remote desktop services in the public cloud alone. Now, although this market has been growing for years, the surge was obviously been driven by the sudden need to provide remote working that was enforced on us by lockdown. Now, as we emerge from lockdown and the COVID crisis, companies are having to reevaluate their working practices, and I'm sure at the top end of the scale, I think many of you would have seen that Capita announced recently that they're going to close up to 100 of their local offices in favour of remote working. They've currently got, I think, about 250 offices in the UK, so it's a huge shift in nature of their business. And in Ireland, you might have seen, or might have read that Google have shelved plans to lease a Dublin office for, with enough space for 2,000 employees. And thousands of companies throughout UK and Ireland are making similar decisions, albeit on a smaller scale. In fact, this actually includes Ekco, because we've downsized one of our own offices in London in favour of remote working. So, as I say, there are hundreds of companies making these decisions at the minute. And if you're going to do that, if you're going to go to remote working, it goes without saying that to be able to facilitate that move, companies have to be absolutely certain they can provide their staff with a really good, excellent home working experience, which basically means it has to be secure, it has to be reliable, it has to be quick, and importantly, it has to be affordable. Our partnership with HiveIO puts Ekco in a really, really strong position to deliver these requirements. So it's a very exciting launch for us. Now, looking through most of the companies attending this webinar, I think most of you are already familiar with us through our managed backup and DR solutions, and therefore are kind of familiar with our model of enabling our resellers and our partners to provide their customers with a reliable and robust solution where Ekco provide the hardware, we provide 24-hour support and the alerting and monitoring, and we also undertake the annual DR testing. And this model has proved to be a really effective model for our customers who've built up significant and long-term monthly recurring revenue streams without the need to having to make significant investment in infrastructure or software or the training and the provision of support staff that you'd normally expect when you provide a service of this sort. So it kind of, in short, with that, what we're doing is our resellers are managing their relationships with and the daily interaction with their customers, whilst we discreetly provide significant support in the background. Now, we've actually been providing desktop as a service for around 15 years, firstly through our RDS solution and more recently through our VDI solution. So in a similar vein to our backup and DR solutions, we provide our partner network with the ability to quickly and easily deliver their customers with a quality desktop experience and desktop service. And the addition of HiveIO to our desktop portfolio is a really important step for us, because unlike other solutions, which are compromised and been made up over years of multiple technologies and products from a variety of vendors, HiveIO has been built from the ground up, meaning it's a very modern, highly performant and very scalable solution. This means that with Ekco providing the infrastructure and quietly delivering support in the background, our resellers can provide a solution that has a low cost of ownership, making it very saleable to customers, which also delivers you good margins, which is also hugely important in this. But it also provides long-term recurring revenue streams, which in these uncertain times is exactly the kind of revenue stream everyone's after at the minute. And it also, because it delivers such a great end user experience, that's critical for long-term customer retention. So it ticks a number of boxes. So having said all that, let me just hand you over to Andy Mitchell, HiveIO Solution Architect, who will take you through the solution in more technical detail, and really show you how these outcomes are achievable. So Andy, over to you.
Thank you, Barry, and thank you everybody, the team from Ekco, for giving me the opportunity to talk to you today. If I just
I'll just stop sharing that screen for you, Andy, and if you want to jump in and share it. While you are getting set up, I actually have had a question come in. So are Ekco still going to offer other VDI and RDS solutions? Who wants to take that?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, actually. Yes, I mean, this is an addition. The HiveIO partnership is an addition to our current offering. The VDI and RDS solutions we have for a number of customers may tick all the boxes they need to provide a good, reliable desktop service. So yeah, so for existing customers, anyone where that's appropriate, we will still supply those solutions. So yeah, that's definitely on the cards, and we've got no plans to retire any of those solutions.
Okay, Kirsten, can you see my screen okay?
Yes, we can.
Brilliant. Okay, welcome everybody, and thank you again to the team at Ekco to give me the opportunity to talk around our technology. I'm going to go over a little bit about HiveIO and our product HiveFabric today, just before, and then we're going to go into the service that we're offering in conjunction with Ekco for yourselves. So without further ado, so what is HiveFabric? HiveFabric is our product, which is a tightly integrated all-in-one virtualization platform that we believe delivers unparalleled end user experience. And one of the key things is, as Barry mentioned before, that we wrote this from the ground up, and we've not got the legacy of a product that's evolved over many years like our competition. This has been done from a clean sheet of paper, and the outcome of that is it's so lean in our footprint, and how this is translated is we can install our product in less than 8 minutes. We can be configured in 30 minutes and up and running in an hour. And that's all from a single installation, single ISO installation. And if we just cover off what's included, we don't have lots of moving parts. We have a single installation. And if going from left to right, just to explain to you what's included in our product today, it's based upon our own KVM hypervisor. And I'm sure you'll agree that, if we talked about KVM as a hypervisor 10 years ago, you wouldn't have got 5 minutes in a meeting. But today, the world's recognizing that some of the biggest players in the world are now running their systems on KVM. Amazon is running on it, Google is running on it, Facebook is running on it. So it's probably now today the most widely used hypervisor in the world today. We have a fully software-defined storage solution embedded in the product, and that includes hyper-converged storage. So we have the capability, so we are HCI ready with one click of a button. And we have one of the unique features from HiveFabric is our own in-memory storage. And what that means is we can deploy, use the RAM in the server as a primary storage pool to run our VDI desktops from. And this has been instrumental to a new relationship we have with Intel, where we're now, with this technology, leveraging Intel's latest Optane persistent memory, and we're now delivering some of the fastest performing VDI on the market today. We have, obviously, to facilitate VDI and any HCI platform, we have our own virtual networking capabilities in the product. It includes full provisioning engine and management, and we have our own desktop broker. But as well as the broker, we have our own gateway products embedded in the product and our own multi-factor, two-factor authentication as part of the features within the product. And again, all these features are negating the need to buy additional third-party products, reducing the complexity of the stack and simplicity of the overall solution. We have the capability to do profile management for your stateless desktops, allowing users to roam from desktop to desktop and maintaining their persistence of their favorites on the desktop, map drives, and any cache files for their email and Office 365. And all of this is accessible from our own web UI, which is unique to the industry. And full reporting and analytics, because our product is built on our own intelligent message bus, every host in the solution pulls off data at every level of the stack, from the host server to the networking, to the VMs, to the applications that are in it. And with this capability, we have a unique proposition around pulling analytics and data off into our own product. So just for a few seconds, I'd like to go into some of the key differentiators on our products today from the competition out there. And, I think we can all agree there's the traditional vendors today where, the Citrix and the VMwares of this world have complicated stacks, and really how we differentiate to those in the market. I mentioned before this integrated RAM storage. It really is a key differentiator for us, because we can deliver higher performance VDI without complex infrastructures and expensive storage arrays underneath. We, as I mentioned, we are a complete end-to-end solution. We only have one installation and can be installed in 5 minutes. If you look at the competition, they typically need 10 to 12 management VMs just to build their architecture, which makes it complex, timely, and I'm going to cover that in a little bit more detail later. We have HiveSense. Our product has been built with AI in mind and in future. I know AI is a very strong word, but HiveSense is already doing machine learning on every Fabric installation today. We collect data from every Fabric installation, doing proactive monitoring and making decisions in advance of problems occurring. And this is the direction our company is going, in a much more clean and more modern virtualization stack for the future. We mentioned before we have no management infrastructure, and that's key because we have this delivers 100% linear scaling that can be started from a single host. Clearly, a single host doesn't deliver any redundancy, but we can. Try and do that with the competition, it's just not possible. And this translates to our ability to deploy desktops from the smallest numbers and making viable solutions from really small deployments of 20 or 30 desktops upwards, which is just not possible with the competition. And I'm going to go into this in a little bit more detail later, how this translates into the service that Ekco are offering. We also include in the product a full integration of data protection and disaster recovery, again negating the need for third-party products. We can back up VMs and data and storage components on the stack and send it to any storage depository of your choice within the stack itself, within your data center, and natively into cloud storage as well. And we have our own integrated gateway and multi-factor authentication. And finally, our product is native multi-tenancy. We support multi-tenancy out of the box, and this is another reason why working with Ekco, we can deliver a solution that is so cost effective and flexible and dynamic for yourselves. Operationally, this is another major area for HiveFabric. Operationally, we differentiate so much from the competition in the whole simplicity of the architecture, the simple interface, and the management of it. As I mentioned before, we can be deployed in 10 minutes and configured in an hour. This means that your administrators and when installed on premise, and also for our managed service providers, making it simpler and easier to deploy, to manage the solutions, which ultimately translates to service levels and costs. It is simple to use. We don't need specialist trained consultants to manage the platform. We've really come about this with the IT administrators in mind, with service delivery and performance as being an absolute paramount. And finally, and I'm sure you've all experienced, traditional stacks with other vendors, and we see it ourselves, are often with one technology for the hypervisor, another technology for the storage and compute layer, another for the networking, and finally another technology stack from the vendors that we know, like Citrix and VMware, running the desktop virtualization. We see in the market today so many customers who are running versions like 5, 6, 7 versions old because they can never get around to upgrading the platform. We've addressed this by delivering a full non-disruptive upgrade process to our technology. You can now upgrade the whole cluster with one click of a button without any downtime and without having to put any host in maintenance mode. And what that means to you is the service levels we can guarantee and deliver is absolute top class. And finally, commercially, we're different. We only have a single version of our license, which is based on VM licensing. If you look at the competition, which I'm sure you're all aware, the competition have enterprise, standard versions, platinum versions. Each feature has different functions and capabilities. You have to decide which ones, and obviously at the top level ones, they become very expensive. We don't care. It's a per VM pricing for servers or desktops from a single license. The only difference in pricing that we have is based around the term on which the license is purchased. This makes it simpler without having to make the decisions around what features you do or don't want, because we include everything in the product. And the value proposition is enhanced even further. Because we don't need dedicated management infrastructure, those management roles that the competition typically require Windows Server data center licenses. They need Microsoft SQL licenses, and they often require commodity hardware. They often require proprietary hardware. We only can run on commodity x86 hardware, and this reduces the costs and ultimately the service levels we can offer better than the competition today. So how does this translate? I just want to pick up here now. So working with Ekco, we're really excited about this service that's being offered today. Running in Ekco's data centers, we can now offer you a fully managed Windows 10 VDI desktop as a service. And this includes some of the key features we know are going to help you differentiate to your customers. We can offer full stateless or persistent VDI that is fully configurable. And we're looking to even be able to offer GPU-enabled desktops, but this will have to be, obviously it's on a case-by-case basis. We can offer that flexibility to you to meet all the different user groups and requirements from your customers. We mentioned before about this RAM-backed storage. And this, again, I can't emphasize this enough. This will deliver you the highest performance VDI. And when we deployed this in our tests with Intel's technology this year, we were delivering VDI desktops with their technology that was 65% faster than running on a local NVMe disk. You will not be able to achieve that performance from any other vendor's technology today. And that's available from Ekco as part of this service. Again, it's hosted and managed by Ekco, giving you the security and confidence. It's fully managed, the security, everything is managed for you and delivered as a service. And finally, Fabric simple architecture really allows Ekco to be able to offer you VDI desktops from really small numbers. Traditional architectures from the competition are literally not commercially viable for numbers less than 200 or 300 users. And because we support multi-tenancy and our simple architecture, we can offer this from small numbers of desktops and it's fully scalable to enterprise numbers. And then finally, we offer the highest price performance metric on the market. Everybody talks about cost, but it's about cost versus performance. And we believe that the price point that we can offer because of our solution with Ekco will be able to deliver the highest value for the highest performance on the market. So I just want to move on to something else for a second here. I want to talk about the market and the options that are available to some of our customers. And we're all aware of this, you know, and the challenges that have come about as a result of COVID has made, as Barry pointed out earlier, the decisions to look at remote working and VDI have become ever more important because of these restrictions and everybody's being sent home to work. But how do you provide this remote working solution? How do you deliver desktops and applications to your users? And the three options that are available, as we all know, the traditional way, they're running on premise. We can look at private cloud, which in this scenario, we're talking about managed services like Ekco are offering you today. And the public cloud providers, Azure and Amazon, the big players who seem very attractive. So I'm just going to go through some of this and some of the pros and cons and really prompt question about making the right decision to make sure that your users get the right service. So which is best? So if we look at the traditional on-premise solutions with our competition, VMware and Citrix, I've spent over 15 years of my IT career working on these solutions. I'm fully qualified in Citrix and VMware, so I do understand these. And they are great products, but they're very complex. And this complexity presents challenges to customers because they are customers delivering this on premise are constantly on a treadmill of maintaining the skills and expertise to manage, deploy, and support these solutions. Because of the complexity, they're hard to deploy and manage. And this complexity results in costs. The licenses are expensive. They often require proprietary and expensive infrastructure underneath, and they're timely to deploy. And all of these reasons are really pushing customers to consider, is there an alternative that's better and more efficient? Can I remove all these headaches from my decision makings of running my VDI and remote working solutions? So, as I said, this move to the public cloud is very attractive. And we've done a lot of work recently looking at why would people consider these public cloud solutions. And I'm sure a lot of you have looked at these. They're, you know, and today I think these are the biggest competition for technology vendors. And the big thing that I would ask everybody is the public cloud solutions are charged by the hour. And for a lot of customers, it may be a great solution. You know, if you've got low-end task workers, you can spin up VMs on queue, shut them down. But if you're looking for a full solution that's got legs to run over 24/7, you may be challenged with these solutions. Because they're charged by the hour, the default charging model with these cloud solutions, particularly with Windows VD, virtual desktop from Microsoft is based on 220 hours a month. This 220 hours is 5 days a week, 10 hours a day. But who works like that today? Today, you know, we live in this world of 24/7. And if your users want to work 24/7, suddenly spinning up this service to support them 24/7, your costs have just doubled. It's also unmanaged. It's a self-service solution. So suddenly you might, whilst you think you've offloaded the responsibility and complexity of running it, you need the skills to manage this. And there is a whole host of other components that are required to make a complete solution with these cloud providers that you may not have budgeted for. And do you want to be sitting in front of your CFO telling you that your budget for your VDI solutions has just doubled? The other key point is the public cloud solutions, Azure WVD and Amazon Workspaces, are based on a shared desktop. And as I mentioned before, this can be a great solution for a lot of users. But if you have users that have high compute demands, want the autonomy and more flexibility of higher performance desktop of VDI, this is not going to be the solution for you. And finally, security. When you go to the public cloud provider, security is your responsibility. And you may need to put expensive security consultants in to help you manage pushing your data into the cloud. It's not quite as simple as you think. And from our experience talking to our customers, it's not turning out to be the nirvana and the golden ticket solution that they thought it was going to be. So where do you go from there? What is the best choice? So we're looking at private cloud solutions and what we're talking about from Ekco. This may offer you a much better solution. You can remove the complexity of the on-premise solutions yourself and allow Ekco to deliver you a desktop as a service. And the difference here is it's a fixed cost. It's based on 24/7. So you haven't got this decision to make. We can guarantee performance because of HiveFabric's architecture and flexibility. We can ring fence the resources to the desktops and the pools of users to give you the guaranteed performance you need to keep your users happy. And the other key thing, it's fully managed. With Ekco's engineers managing this, managing the security, supporting it, backing up, the headaches and responsibilities can be taken off your plate and allow them to deliver the service that you need for your customers. And finally, it's quick to deploy. Because of HiveFabric's simple architecture, they are geared up now to spin these up in a very short timescale. We're talking hours, not days or weeks, which is what everybody needs today. So finally, as we said, we believe today the service from Ekco, their desktop service, can be the answer for you and your customers. So I just want to finish off with one last slide. Azure WVD seems to be one of the biggest competitors in the market and getting everyone's attention. And we talk about how do they stack up, how do they compare? And if you take Microsoft's own recommendations for a hosted desktop on Windows 10, it's a hosted shared desktop. So compare this to the desktop service we're offering you from Ekco today with HiveFabric. So you can see on the second column, this is the VM which Microsoft recommended. Take a medium workload with a premium SSD. It's a shared desktop. But each user only gets 0.32 of a vCPU at 8:1 overcommit ratio. Compare that to the VDI, the standard VDI that we're offering you from Ekco today will give you 2 dedicated vCPUs at 6:1. The memory is only 1.28 gigabytes from Azure. We're offering you 4 standard, almost 3 times higher. And finally, the really most important thing, I think everybody knows and acknowledges, the disk performance is what gives you the user experience. The hosted shared desktop from Azure is only 35 IOPS. I think we all know this isn't delivering the performance you get from a spinning disk on a normal PC. We're delivering over 300 IOPS per desktop standard, which is 8 times higher. But take WVD and scale this up to give it more resources, suddenly the costs will escalate and spiral, and suddenly the cost differential will be massive. So this is really where we want to finish off today, and really prompt question so you can ask yourself, how will I deliver the best end user performance to my customers? So hopefully, working with Ekco, this information has been really informative and useful, and we'd love to talk to you about opportunities you may have for yours and customers. So that's it from me. I'm just going to finish off with a few notes and talk about what this service delivers. We offer the highest performance desktop as a service you can buy in the market today. And we're pretty confident we can back this up with data and we can go through that. It's simple and quick to deploy. Speak to the engineers at Ekco and find out how we can deploy solutions for your customers really quickly. It's fully managed, secure solution. We'll manage the security, we'll manage the deployment, the management, the hosting, all the responsibility will be with Ekco. And finally, we'll offer you the best value. We use the word value again because value is about performance and value for money, not just about cost. Please speak to our engineers and find out more about what we can do for you from Ekco today. And that's it for me. Thank you everybody for your time. I know it's a very short overview of our product. Hopefully that was useful. And I'll pass back to Barry and his team now for any questions.
Thanks a million for that, Andy. So we do have some questions that have come in, and I will go through them as quickly as I can. So the first one, I assume this one is for Ekco. Who supplies the Windows 10 license?
Okay, Kirsten, I can take that. It's Adam here. Hi, everybody. So yeah, we can certainly supply the Windows 10 licensing to partners and to customers, or partners can supply it themselves.
Perfect. Short and brief. The next question is for Ekco. In what situation would you recommend deploying DaaS over 365 or G Suite? Adam, I say you can take that as well.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think, you know, the sort of lower numbers of users, 1s, 2s, 3s, that type of thing, you might argue that just using 365 or G Suite on its own is fine. But put simply, the reason that customers want to use a desktop as a service, or partners want to deliver desktop as a service, is about control. And it's that centralization of control over that customer's environment. So it's good for the partner to be able to control that end user customer's environment. It's good for the customer because they know they've got a controlled, centralized environment. You know, it's patched, it's got antivirus installed on it, it's fully up to date, and it's being managed by a team. You know, in this current world, if they've got a number of users working from home, and you know, and they've introduced bring your own device as well, you know, God only knows what what condition those machines are in, whether they've been patched, whether they've got antivirus on them or not. And if you want to take away that responsibility from your users, then of course the only way to do that is to provide them a centralized desktop as a service platform. So hopefully that answers that question.
That's great. This one's for HiveIO, and I think you might have touched on this already after the question was asked, but in case there was anything else you wanted to add, Andy, from a user point of view, how is the HiveIO Hive Fabric is different from VMware, Citrix VDIs, and Windows multi-session?
How is it different from the Citrix? So we effectively deliver the same virtual desktop solution as Citrix and VMware. So we compete directly with VMware Horizon. And if you think about from the VMware point of view, our product is basically ESX, vCenter, vSAN, and the full Horizon suite. But we do all that with a single installation. Take Citrix, we're the full Zen desktop suite, Zen server, the complete solution. But Citrix don't have the hyper-converged storage. When delivered, and it's the simplicity, the flexibility that we can offer the same solution, easier, quicker, and with higher performance, which makes translates into the service levels that Ekco can offer you as a customer. Compared to Azure WVD, it is, as I mentioned before, the Azure solution is based on a shared desktop. We're all familiar with RDS. Azure have actually enabled Windows 10. They're the only people who can offer a true shared Windows 10 desktop out of their own data center. But the key point is it is still a shared desktop. So it's shared resources. And whilst maybe very suitable for some users, you have to be conscious of end user performance and experience, because you could embark on what we call noisy neighbors. So one user will impact the performance of another user on the system. The technologies haven't really changed in the last 5-10 years, just the services offered from the different vendors, but we believe we're differentiating this and offering a unique solution today. So hopefully that's answered your question.
Thank you, Andy. Adam, where are the data locations?
Okay, yeah, it's good. Obviously, important to know where your customers' data is. So currently, I mean, Ekco have got customers all over the world and data centers across the world as well. But for desktop as a service, primarily concentrated in the UK and the Netherlands for EU customers.
Perfect.
That answers the question.
Thank you. Another Ekco question. One of the questions was specifically around pricing, and I know who it was. I've taken note of it. Dara is going to give you a call on that later. But a follow-up to that was, does the solution allow you to charge just for the users that use the system, or can I have 50 users 1 month and the next have 30? Can I do this?
I'll say that one again. Yeah, absolutely. That's the joy of this system and having a hosted desktop as a service solution, is that you can scale up and down as you need to, or as your customers need to.
I think just picking up on Adam's point about the scaling up and down, and our architecture allows for this multi-tenancy in smaller groups of users. Citrix and VMware are not natively out the box multi-tenancy aware, and make it quite complicated to have their own dedicated management infrastructures. So again, this is why we can offer small group of users and the flexibility that Adam's just mentioned.
Okay, cool. One more, I think I have 2 more questions. So can you please explain a bit about the architecture, how it looks, and is it a dedicated VM per tenant, and the size depending on number of clients?
Do you want me to answer that one, Kirsten?
Please, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So the HiveFabric solution is true VM VDIs. It's not shared in any instance. We have underneath the covers, we have this capability to ring fence and do host isolation depending on the size of the customer, so we can segregate and guarantee the resources delivered to every VM. Hopefully that's answered your question.
Does my Microsoft 365 Business Premium license cover the Windows 10 Business OS license on the Ekco VDI?
That's probably one for me. Yeah. In short, the answer is no, but it will cover updates and upgrades to the Windows 10 license. Obviously, if you've got a higher version of an M365 license as well, then you're going to get the benefit of EMS. With any kind of private cloud hosted VDI solutions or hosted desktop solutions, you need to buy the Windows 10 licenses or sell them to your customers.
Okay.
Does that?
And I think this one is also for you, Adam. Does your VDI support MS Teams media optimization, audio and video?
Okay, yeah.
Or perhaps Andy, either of you.
Adam, do you want to pick that one up?
Yeah, go on, yeah.
Yeah, so doing any media and audio with VDI is a challenge for every vendor. One of the things that have to be considered, so the backend platform does support Microsoft Teams. What we need to be cognizant of is the endpoint devices. You have to look at the whole solution, and we can provide advice on that. So the best end user experience you'd get is when we have Windows 10 on the client end as well as the back end. We offer through HiveFabric a HTML5 client, a Windows client, and a base RDP browser-based client. So, and we also offer a Linux client. So these things need to be taken into consideration. But as far as the backend support, absolutely.
That's great. Okay. I've gone through most of the questions. I know a couple of the questions were asked twice, and if I didn't answer your question, I apologise. I'm going to go through them at the end and make sure we've answered everything. I'll also send on the deck and a recording of this so you guys can listen to it to your heart's content. We'll wrap that up there. Thank you everybody so much for joining. Like I said, we'll be in touch with answering more questions and with the deck and the video. So thanks everybody.
Thank you everyone. Thanks, Kirsten.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.